I haven't seen my rota yet, so I don't know what other days I can do. I could probably do Thursday, but I can't do Friday. I'm probably not Saturday either. Just to let you know.
Why are you so complicated?
I don't know.
When did you get a life suddenly?
Yeesh.
This is
Harsh.
this is very unexpected. I didn't expect a Corey heel turn right at the beginning of this.
Yeah, we'll do the AEW thing where we're gonna like, are you my friend? I think you're my friend. I hope you're my friend. Oh, you're not my friend anymore. We should be friends again.
I don't think I want to be friends with you now.
You say that now, but then when you're getting beat down by John and Brady and whoever else that the audience doesn't know about, I'll be running down the ramp and it looks like I'm gonna hit you with a steel chair, but then I'll turn around and hit John.
I don't need your help.
And then we'll hug. It will hug, and then a bunch of fat middle-aged men in black T-shirts will cry.
But then I'll turn on you, and then it's a different swerve.
Yeah, and then we'll start the storyline again, and it'll never fucking end.
And then it turns out I was the devil.
Yeah, exactly. And then you'll start your stable that will immediately fall apart because you broke your ankle jumping off the stage because you were streaming online too often and your bones turned into brittle pieces of like dried wood.
I don't know if that's why it happened.
I mean, are you a doctor? Can you say that for sure?
All right, you turning on me too?
Bam, heel turn.
Am I a doctor? So wait, so who's the heel here? Me or you or Corey or who?
I think all three
Brady?
of us are. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if we're doing the AEW thing, nobody's a heel. Nobody's a face either.
We're everything and nothing at the same time.
Oh well. Will any of that stay in the opening? Who knows?
Do you want us to do a different opening?
No, I'm pretty cool with
something stupid.
I like our opening where we talked about turning on you.
Okay. Why?
I don't know.
Who would ever turn on me, this most sweet member of the podcast?
You are you are adorable according to the thumbnails because you're so little.
Because I'm only 7 apples high.
Hi everybody, welcome to Smark Avengers. My name is Corey. I'm here with John and Dylan as normal. All right, no one's gonna say anything. What's up?
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Sorry, feeling a little bit annoyed because everybody's turning on me recently. So, hard for me to get invested in today's show whenever I've just been hit over the head with a steel chair by 2 of my best friends.
Everyone betrayed me. I'm fed up with this world.
It's fine though, because the chair you hit me with was sanded down. So that shows that you like me.
Yeah. So, today on the show, we are going to kind of do one of our kind of a list thing again. It's been a while since we've done one. And with the success of Wolverine and Deadpool and all of the various callbacks to previous actors who filled in superhero roles, we thought it'd be fun if we did some discussion on superhero castings that we liked and superhero castings that we didn't really like. So each of us have 3 of each, I imagine, and some alternates in case people get talked about. That's a safe assumption.
Yeah, I have a list of like obvious choices. So if anybody picks any of the obvious choices, I'm gonna sound my obvious choice alarm.
Okay.
So if anybody says any of the ones that I think are an obvious choice, the alarm's gonna go off. So
okay.
Look out for that.
Jesus, no, there's pressure.
Yeah.
So, how do you guys want to handle this? Do you want to do we'll play like compliment sandwich where we start with a bad one and then we do a good one and we do that through the rotation until we're all done?
Whatever works.
Yep.
All right, cool. So let's start with around the table. What is a bad superhero casting that has always bugged you? Dylan, John, do either of you want to go first?
You go for it, Dylan.
Aw, that's so sweet. Are you trying to be a face again after you crush my face in with a chair?
Yeah, I'm just letting you stand in the spotlight so I can get a better shot of your back with my steel chair.
I was going to say, yeah, you're going to give me this false sense of security, and then just when I trust you, bam! break into my house and threaten my 4-year-old child or whatever. Is it a baby or a child? I don't know. I don't remember. Is it a baby?
I think it was a baby.
All right. Well, don't threaten either my baby or my 4-year-old child. Or any of my other children. Leave them alone. Okay. I have a couple. I find the bad ones to be easier to write than the good ones. Because like I said, I felt like there was a lot of obvious good ones, and I didn't want to pick them, so I tried to pick some other good ones. And the bad ones, I had a bunch of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, I don't know if it's controversial or not, but the first one I wrote down was George Clooney as Batman. Because some people could say, oh, it wasn't George Clooney's fault. It was more the writing. It was more the circumstances of the film, the way it was put together. He probably would have been a good Batman. Maybe he could have been a good Batman, but like that was the worst Batman film, and he was the worst Batman. I was very tempted to put Ben Affleck as Batman in there instead, but people seem to really like Ben Affleck as Batman, which I don't get. But I could see him playing a good Bruce Wayne, whereas I just didn't buy anything about George Clooney in that whole film. And again, part of that's the way the film was put together, but like, it's just weird. Weird casting, I wasn't a fan.
I mean, I kind of like Ben Affleck as Batman. It was one of the one good things about the Snyder movies, really. Plus, I don't want to kick Ben Affleck when he's down, because we're recording this in the week he's just
got divorced.
Yeah.
Did
Hey,
he?
maybe this is a good divorce for him.
Yeah, maybe.
Who was he married to? A good divorce.
Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, weren't they already married?
Well, yeah, that's how divorce works. They got married.
No,
divorced.
I mean, like, weren't they already married?
They were together like 20 years ago and then split up and then got back together a couple of years ago. Or whatever.
They weren't married the first time?
No.
Oh. Okay. Well. So you're saying Jennifer Lopez is back on the market?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Get in there.
I'll do my best. I'll send her a funny email.
There you go.
Yeah,
Women love funny emails.
He doesn't love a funny email.
Who doesn't love a funny email?
Of a little gif with a cat, like, eating a pancake. See?
Yeah.
John's laughing. He hasn't even seen the gif.
I don't know how many cats eat pancakes.
Right, that's the gif. You gotta see it.
Did the cat look like he was enjoying the pancake?
You guys aren't taking my George Clooney as Batman thing seriously. I feel like.
I thought we were talking about Ben Affleck as Batman. Now I'm confused.
Well, I originally picked George Clooney as Batman. And with the consensus that I wasn't a big fan of Ben Affleck as Batman, but other people seemed to dig it. And I'm like, well, fair enough. Whereas George Clooney as Batman, I don't really think had a whole lot of accolades from anybody.
No, definitely not.
I mean, we talked about it in the episode from Volume 2, and then also the 90s Batman things about it. Just seemed like George Clooney got the part because at that point he was sort of the rising star of Hollywood.
Yeah,
it just seemed like, oh, this is easy casting. It'll put some butts in seats because Joel Schumacher was definitely much more commercial in trying to make these Batman movies. It was about getting the most eyes possible, selling the most products and tie-ins possible, because of Tim Burton and Batman Returns souring the McDonald's relationship.
Well, fuck McDonald's. And again, I don't want to sound controversial, but fuck like the biggest multi-billion company of all time, right? Who cares if they couldn't leech some more money off kids from a Batman film?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Is that controversial to say?
No.
Well, like a weird connection to that is that Michael Keaton was in a movie about playing the struggling salesman guy who basically sold the world on McDonald's.
Was that film good?
It's all right.
Yeah, it has an 81 on Rotten Tomatoes.
John, what did you give it on Letterboxd?
Oh God, I'll have to look this up.
You gave it, yeah. What did you do? The Founder.
Let's have a look and see.
Look at this cast, though. Nick Offerman, Linda Cardinelli, Patrick Wilson, B.J. Novak, Laura Dern.
Yeah, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
Hey,
I mean, casting alone gets you up to 3.
Mm-hmm.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, but it's not, it's a film though. It's not actually about McDonald's. So.
No, I mean it's Michael Keaton's great in it. I just thought it was funny that this is sort of like a weird return considering how Batman Returns soured McDonald's on that particular product tie-in.
Yeah,
And
well,
the
of course,
motherfucker goes on to be the founder of McDonald's.
leave it to Michael Keaton to save everything, right?
Right? Did you see his interview talking about the Batgirl movie? Somebody asked him like, "Oh, is it a shame that the Batgirl movie didn't get put out?" And he was like, "I didn't really care. I got paid pretty good." What a worker.
Love that man.
Kevin Nash bullshit right there.
Yeah.
He knows what's up.
Check still
You know,
cashed.
Exactly. That's that was a quote Michael Keaton had whenever somebody asked him about Jaws 4.
Oh
They
yeah,
were like,
paid
they
for
were
his
like,
house, right?
yeah, they were like, have you seen Jaws 4? And he's like, well, I saw the house that it bought me. So, I'm like, well,
Yeah. He
fair
played
enough.
the great character Hoagie.
Dude, have
Imagine
you seen
hearing that
Jaws
hearing
4?
that voice and seeing that man, and you go, that character's name is Hoagie.
Have you seen Jaws? You already tell us you've seen Jaws 4.
Yeah,
Of course.
John, what
I've
did you give
watched a lot
Jaws
of bad
4?
horror movies over the years.
I gave it 1 star.
Oh, come on, now. Really?
Yeah.
Out of 2?
Out of 5. So I mean, it's not great, but
20%.
it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. Just the
Is
worst Jaws movie I've ever seen.
Wait
is
till
where-
I make my Jaws film.
This is where John comes in to say that his choice for worst casting was Michael Keaton as Alfred.
As Alfred?
I know, I'm joking.
What?
Oh, Mr. Wayne.
Oh boy. So you guys agree with the George Clooney thing, right?
Yeah.
I didn't care for George Clooney as Batman at all. It was far too cutesy. I mean, Schumacher was definitely from that 1960s kitschy Batman thing from the show. So it makes sense that George Clooney would be much more like the Adam West Batman than anybody else, but it was still that was not my vibe.
It's tough to watch, man.
Mm.
All right, John, what have you got?
So what, do you want a worst one?
Yeah.
Cool.
Worse than George Clooney.
I will go for Julian McMahon, who played Doctor Doom in not 1 but 2 movies, and sucked in both of them. He was sort of famous for being like a TV actor at that point. He was in Nip Tuck.
I was about to say, was he Nip Tuck?
Yeah.
He's in a really bad shark movie as well.
Jaws 4.
Probably. Yeah.
No. It's about a tsunami floods this part, and there's sharks inside a grocery store, and people are trapped inside the grocery store.
That
What?
sounds pretty good.
5 stars.
There you go. That's our next watch along.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who's in it. 5 stars. What's it called?
I can't remember. I think it's like
Shark
something.
Supermarket.
I think it's called like Bait. Let me see if I can look it up. Keep talking about,
Okay.
about his
Yeah.
terrible Doctor Doom.
That was in the most recent Fantastic Four
Costume
film, right?
for- No. These were the 2 from the sort of mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Not the one from the when like 2017 or something.
Oh,
Although
right.
that Doctor Doom, shit, I should have picked him as well because that was awful too.
I don't remember. I've seen the first one.
Mm,
I haven't seen the second one because I heard that Galactus was a cloud, and then I haven't seen the reboot one either. So I don't know a whole lot
Yeah.
about these Fantastic Four films.
spoiler alert. Galactus being a CGI cloud was also going to be one of my casting choices, but
So he really was a cloud,
Yeah.
yes,
right?
He's like a big
because
cosmic dust cloud thing.
people
Mhm.
said this to me, and I'm like, why would they make Galactus a cloud? The whole point of Galactus is that he's a giant person. That's the whole draw of Galactus.
Well, because it was based off Ultimate Galactus, which was a cloud, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was like basically a swarm or something, I think. But yeah, I guess they felt like it would have been too goofy to have like just a giant guy in purple pajamas with like a weird helmet. Which, okay, I can sort of understand where they're coming from, but
So you think it would be more intimidating to just have a cloud, space
I mean,
cloud,
I think
space cloud?
the thing is, like, it can make it work with the giant guy, but I'm sure we'll see how it's done when Marvel release their Fantastic Four movie. But yeah, I think they just chickened out and were like, let's do a cloud instead.
Doug Jones, the Silver Surfer, was pretty good though.
Yeah, well, and the voice was
It's
done
Doug
by.
Jones.
The voice wasn't Doug Jones though.
No, I'm just saying. I just like Doug Jones' work.
Oh,
Who was the voice?
Lawrence Fishburne, I believe.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I haven't seen those films, so I saw like I said, I saw the first one, but like it's so long ago that I don't remember anything about it.
But all you need to know is Doctor Doom is a character full of pomp and gravitas, and Julian McMahon brought none of that to the role whatsoever.
Aw. Yeah, that's the problem. Like Doctor Doom was always this wonderful megalomaniac kind of character. Like he was so like full of himself in almost a charming way.
Mm.
You know what I mean? People love Doctor Doom because he's so confident in himself, which is such a wonderful trait to have. He's just like, I'm Doctor Doom and everybody else is a fucking idiot. Which a lot of the time he's not totally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I admire that kind of trait in somebody, and you need a good actor to be able to pull that off. And I don't know anything about this guy, but I guess he wasn't the right actor. But then who would be the good Dr.
Well,
Doom?
they did a lot of. I mean, they did a lot of stuff with that character in that. Jesus, what did they do? So Doom was like part of the crew that flew up into space, and like he got his powers that way as well.
Yeah,
his powers of wearing a suit,
No, he had like metal skin and electric stuff.
metal skin, and electric stuff.
It was a weird take on Doctor Doom. Like Corey said, they basically tied his powers into the Fantastic Four's origins, and then they basically had it so his skin was starting to peel throughout the movie after he got back to Earth, and then he could shoot electricity and all this kind of thing. It's just like, what? This isn't Doctor Doom. Like, what are you doing?
Did they make him? Did they give him metallic skin, or did they give him a suit of armor?
They sort of started giving him metallic skin, and then I think he started wearing a suit of armor, or at least like.
Yeah. Well, no, because like there was the metallic skin, and he had like electric powers.
Yeah.
And
because
yeah,
the gimmick of him, like, but first of all, the gimmick of him like being in the space mission and then coming down, and then the Fantastic Four doing really well with their powers, and then him having a bad time with the powers on paper sounds like a good angle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the idea of him, like his skin peeling off, so like if he had to wear the suit of armor to hide that from people, that's a good angle. It doesn't sound like that's exactly what they did in the film, but like again on paper, that could be a good angle. I don't totally hate that, but it's all about the execution, I believe.
Exactly.
I don't know why they have such a big problem with the idea of making Doctor Doom like a ruler of a country.
A dictator?
Yeah.
A little too close to home.
I guess so. By the way, the movie is Bait 3D. That is the sharks inside a grocery store.
Shark Supermarket, I think, is a much better name.
It's a little more direct and to the point.
Yeah, Bait 3D. That's stupid. Guys, come to
Budget
us.
was 20 million, made 32.5 though.
Okay.
Made back its budget.
Yeah,
I
what
guess
was
you
it
could call
good?
it a success.
I don't think so. Anyway, Doctor Doom.
Yeah, Doctor Doom. Is there any other comments you want to make about Doctor Doom?
No.
Okay. Dylan, do you have anything else to add about Doctor Doom?
I don't think so. I think I don't remember who this guy is, so that's probably a bad sign.
Yeah. Like I said, I referred to him as Nip Tuck for a reason because I couldn't remember his name to save my life. So for mine, I kind of was like trying to figure out like what was the best way to determine the worst, because sometimes like the most of the ones I was thinking like it had more to do with like the source material. I mean, not the source material. So it's like, oh, the character as it was written in the movie, this makes sense for what they did. I just didn't like the way the character was written for the movie.
Right.
So I opted for I don't want to say this is a little bit of a cop out. It has more to do with the voice rather than the body. It's a Doug Jones situation, but it's not Doug Jones. Um, from Hellboy to the Golden Army, Johann Kraus, voiced by Seth MacFarlane.
Okay. Interesting. Cause
Yes.
for the record, I kind of was on your wavelength. I was like, sometimes I was thinking of something that I didn't like, but I'm like, do I not like the actor playing this, or do I not like the writing involved with that? That's different. I think
Yeah, I struggled with that.
yeah, I was trying to go for more of like, this is just not a good choice of casting, I think, as opposed to just somebody who is a good actor who didn't do a good job in that film purely because the writing was bad.
Yes.
Or the directing was bad, you know. Hellboy 2, I don't think I've seen.
So the character of Johann Kraus, the Hellboy movies are kind of notorious for not being completely truthful to the source material, like the depiction of like Abe Sapien's character, or the fact that they put Liz and Hellboy in a relationship. Those are not things that happen in the comic. But Johann Kraus is a German medium who, while he was astro projecting, a paranormal weapon went off and destroyed his body. So he is just a spirit without a body. And the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, the BPRD, constructed a special containment suit for him. So he is a ghost inside of a suit, essentially. And he is German because he's originally from Stuttgart. And they cast Seth MacFarlane to do his voice, so it's just Seth MacFarlane doing his really over-the-top German accent that kind of made the character feel like a joke, which, again, he wasn't really supposed to be a joke. Like, in the movie, he was depicted as the kind of field agent that the director liked. He was dedicated to the work, he was serious, he followed the rules and regulations, whereas Hellboy was a bit of a wild card. So that to me was, again, that fit perfectly. The character was written fine. I just really hate Seth MacFarlane's over-the-top German accent. Like, if you wanted to do a German accent, maybe get a German like actor to do it. It didn't have to be like super over the top. It sounded like a Family Guy episode.
Especially don't get like super over exaggerated comic voice actor Seth MacFarlane, who just comically overacts in everything he does anyway to do the voice of a serious guy, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, the character wasn't written to be funny. I think
like the idea of Seth MacFarlane voicing this guy, and just his own doing that voice made him sound accidentally racist. You know what I mean? Like, it's such an over-the-top German voice that you're like, this German man sounds like he's being racist to himself.
Yeah. Like I said, you've not even seen it, but like you're familiar enough with Seth MacFarlane that you're like, yep, it's over the top. Doesn't need to be.
I already know exactly what voice. I'm confident I know what voice that is because I've heard him do a German voice. I know it's Family Guy. They do Hitler jokes all the time. I know exactly what that voice is. Right?
Yeah. You're not. It's not far off. That's for sure.
It's Seth MacFarlane. You know what you're getting.
Yeah. The only scene that's kind of funny is he and Hellboy are at their lockers, and Hellboy's been like increasingly getting more and more annoyed with Johann, and he picks a fight with him and punches his containment suit and cracks the glass, and his spirit like leaks out of the suit, and Hellboy's like, oh fuck, I'm in trouble now, like I broke him. But he just possesses the lockers and just beats the shit out of Hellboy with the locker doors. And like that's kind of funny, but that's like really the only comedic thing he does.
Well, the Germans are historically Very
Known
humorous.
for their sense of humor.
Yes.
Hmm.
John, you were just there.
I mean,
Were you busting a gut the entire time?
Was that guy
Nope.
there?
Not really from anything that the Germans were saying or doing, but
That's a shame. You didn't go to German comedy club.
no. Maybe I
It
missed
was
out.
all in German, so
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
you had no idea what was going. Everybody else was laughing. And you're like, yeah. Is it?
Yeah, I don't think I've missed out, to be fair.
On
So,
Hellboy 2?
yeah, John, have you seen this film?
Oh, of course I have.
No, I was about to say.
What do you think about the boys?
So, yeah, basically exactly what you said. It's Seth MacFarlane doing a funny voice.
That's so good. That's his life.
Yeah. Like I've no sort of past connection with the character, so I don't know. I don't have Corey's extensive, knowledge of what the character's like in the comics or anything, but just going by what was on the screen, yeah, it was a bit over the top and I don't know, yeah, like borderline racist, but there it is.
Yeah, we said it.
All right.
Somebody has to say it.
So our next round is going to be people that we liked. So Dylan, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, this one's not going to take too long because we already talked about this guy in a previous episode. Much like the George Clooney Batman, we talked about in a different episode. I'm going to pick Danny DeVito as a Penguin. I know that you had said this wasn't like a comic accurate Penguin, and that Penguins now are Danny DeVito accurate as opposed to comic accurate. But
Yeah.
I also don't care. I feel like that's just perfect casting. Danny DeVito as the Penguin is just 100%. That's what I think the Penguin is. I don't care if it's not what he used to be in the 50s, whatever. I don't care. I love Danny DeVito as the Penguin. That's the Penguin, you know?
So going back to like talking about characters like being bad, I mean that works for the same thing in the opposite. Like as the character was written, Danny DeVito was perfect for it, regardless of
Yep.
whether it was accurate to the comics or not.
Yes, the way it was in that film, that's just he played it so well. There was nobody else you could imagine could play that character like that at that time, or
Mhm.
even now. You know, it's one of my there's a reason that's one of my favorite Batman films. Maybe one of my favorite films. I love that film so much, and even though it's a bit silly and goofy at times, like the good stuff is so good because all of the actors involved are the right actors. You know, I've gushed about how much I love Michael Keaton as Batman, but like all of them, Michelle Pfeiffer and everybody else in that film is like played perfectly by the right people. But the Penguin to me is just like icing on the cake. He's just perfect, you know.
Mhm.
And because we've talked about this already, I feel like you guys are going to be like, "Yep, fair enough."
Pretty much.
Yep. Fair enough.
Yep. There you go. Nice and easy. On to the next one.
Well, in that case, I will go for J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh,
Yep.
that is a good call.
Perfect.
I
Yes.
mean,
Yep.
do I even need to say anything? Like
No.
the look in that original Spider-Man trilogy was absolutely spot on.
Yep.
The humor of the character and like how up his own ass he is, and how that kind of gets used for comic effect as well. Beautifully done. Like and just like the voice and the anger that he brings to the role as well is just pitch perfect. Like
That's what I was gonna say. The way he talks is so that's what I imagine Jonah Jameson sounding like. You know.
100%.
Yeah, that was part. Like he just encapsulated that character perfectly.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. Yeah. That's honestly that one's hard to. That's a good call. That's hard to beat.
Yeah, it's true. All right, so I'm going to stay in the world of Hellboy for my best, and I feel like there honestly there are a few that are really good to pick. I mean, Ron Perlman as Hellboy is really, really good. Again, as written, not necessarily source material. Same thing. Although he chose to be uncredited for it. David Hyde Pierce voiced Abe Sapien in the first movie. When they did Hellboy 2, it was Doug Jones doing the voice and the body work. But David Hyde Pierce loved Doug Jones' body acting so well, he refused to be credited for his voice part. However, I'm going to choose Carol Roden as Grigory Rasputin, who was the main villain of Hellboy. Rasputin, of course, is the very famous monk who may or may not have been responsible for the fall of the Russian Tsardom. In the world of Hellboy, Rasputin is an ever-present figure even after death, and he's menacing, he's mystical, he's dark, and Carol he just encapsulates that for me perfectly. Like there's a threatening sense to him just by standing there. And he's not the most physically intimidating looking person in the world. He just has a darkness to him that I feel like was captured very, very well.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And like, obviously, he's a bit of a Nazi as well, which always makes for a good villain character.
But not an over-the-top Nazi.
No.
He's I mean, an
Just a regular
occultist.
Nazi.
Sort of regular.
So he's brought in by the SS to assist them in this ritual.
Yeah. But yeah, like you say, the casting was pretty good, I thought, and he made for like a sort of memorable villain as well. Like again, I don't know Rasputin from the Hellboy comics, but I know enough about Rasputin from real life to kind of have some background knowledge of him. But yeah, I liked it.
Okay. Dylan, any thoughts on Rasputin, or have you seen Hellboy?
I have seen Hellboy, but it's been a long time.
That's
It's funny that I remember David Hyde Pierce did a voice because he's got a very distinct voice.
Yes.
And I feel like I do remember the villain, but it's been a while since I've seen Hellboy.
That's fair.
So, and I feel like I only saw it once. I haven't seen the second one, but I've seen the first one. But I would like to. We should go see it again. Let's all do a watch along for Hellboy.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, you're really long though.
So we're back to bad. Dylan, who do you got?
I have Stephen Merchant as Caliban.
I don't even remember that.
Okay, this was in Logan.
Okay, that would be why.
Have you not seen Logan?
I have not seen Logan.
Okay, it is a really good film, and again, maybe this is kind of like, I think this is miscasting, right? Because I like Stephen Merchant. He's a funny guy. I don't think in any universe ever you would go, I think he should be one of the X-Men. And I don't think in any of those aforementioned universes you would go, I think he should be Caliban, the big hulking albino brute of a man who can track other mutants. That doesn't work. So obviously they had to do a lot to change that character from what he is in the comics to what he is in the film. But even then, you're like, that's such a weird choice. That's such a weird choice to go with Stephen Merchant as Caliban. It's so strange, especially because they already had a Caliban in the Apocalypse film.
Yep.
Which came out before that. Mm-hmm. So they were like, all right, we're going to ignore that guy and go with Stephen Merchant, who's like 6'2", and then also like really thin and skinny.
Stephen Merchant 6'2"? I thought he was way taller than that.
I have no idea what
a lot of his comedy is about how fucking tall he is.
Yeah,
he's a tall man.
He's a giant.
But like, who's taller, Stephen Merchant or Kevin Nash? I don't know.
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
He's 6'7", so technically Kevin Nash has got about 3 or 4 inches on him.
Okay, fair enough. But like, even Kevin Nash wouldn't be a good Caliban. That wouldn't work. Stephen Merchant, it just doesn't work for that character. I just think that's such a weird casting. It's so strange. And like, here's the thing. I barely remember him in that film. Corey hasn't seen the film, can't can't even comment on it. John, do you remember him? Like, do you remember him being a good actor, or do you remember going, "That's weird"?
I enjoyed him in the movie.
But he's not Caliban.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot
He
of
looks
the
like
characters,
powder.
like Donald Pierce is in that movie, but he's not Donald Pierce from the Hellfire Club. So, it is what it is. You
Is he going
gotta.
to be the next one on your list? Because that is a correct way to put it. Like,
No,
but I'm okay. For me, I think that Caliban in the comics, even if you're going like, oh, we'll do a different spin on this, they already showed Caliban in the X-Men universe, and then they have a different Caliban. Caliban's not that good of a character to bring it back twice as two different people that look completely different.
What did you think of the Caliban in Apocalypse then?
I thought he would, because he didn't have as big of a role. He was just more of like what you would expect Caliban to be.
He
And
basically
that
was the
worked.
same though, wasn't he?
I don't think so.
I'm used to Caliban being like Apocalypse's Toady in X Factor, though. Because he wasn't a massive hulking guy in X Factor. He was like really small.
He became a big guy after
Yeah.
Apocalypse got to him, and then he's been a big guy for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't see him. I don't see. I didn't like it.
Fair enough.
Again, I don't care if it's controversial. This show is all about talking points, getting people talking.
I don't think it's controversial. I didn't even know this happened.
You didn't see the film, so you're like, I didn't even know. I didn't know Wolverine was in a film. Wolverine.
Who's that?
People like that,
Who's
guy. Who plays him? He's Wolverine.
Who's this asshole?
Imagine doing a comics podcast and you have no idea who Wolverine is.
I stopped reading comics in the mid 1970s. Who's this Wolverine fellow you mentioned?
I started and stopped reading comics after Superman issue 2.
Yeah, I know about Superman, and I know about the tenant guys who overcharge their people rent. That's all I know in Superman.
I know about the Flash Force, and that's it.
All right, John, what do you got?
Choices. I will go for Jared Leto as the Joker.
Oh, agreed.
Because fucking hell, that was awful.
I agree.
I mean,
I have such a weird feeling about Jared Leto as a Joker because I hate Jared Leto, to be frank. He is that one guy that's on site for me. I fucking hated him since Fight Club.
Yeah, I don't like him.
No, I don't think anyone does. Yet he's still famous and like in movies, and he's got a band and stuff. It's like, what?
Well, his band's his own cult.
He's got a cult, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Because they were out in the desert when the COVID pandemic started.
What the worst place you could possibly be is stranded in the fucking desert with Jared Leto.
Then you come back and you find out the world shut down because of a worldwide virus.
And you're like, maybe he was right.
Holy shit.
What I really liked about this, you said Jared Leto. I'm like, he's gonna say Morbius, and then then you said the Joker. I'm like, oh yeah, he did that shitty job too.
Wow. I am so weirdly. I appreciated that they were focusing on like Joker the crime boss a little bit more instead of like I'm an agent of chaos. But like I didn't care for the look at all, and again, I can't stand fucking Jared Leto.
Right. The idea of that Joker was fine, but the casting was bad. The casting was just that's the wrong guy.
Well, yeah, the casting,
this guy in the extended Justice League.
Yeah, everything about it was bad though. Like,
yes, I hated the look.
Oh man, the try-hard tattoos, the like weird grill that he was wearing. It's like, oh man,
it's gross.
So there's a heel referee in Mexico, works for AAA, named Io de El Torrantes. So I think son of the tyrant, and it's always been a heel referee gimmick in AAA, and he's obsessed with the Joker, and he has that hand tattoo of like the smile on the back of the hand, so he holds it up to his face.
Ugh.
it looks just as bad real life as it does in the movie.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit goofy.
A bit goofy.
Tiny bit.
But that's the Joker's thing, though. He's like, I'm just a bit goofy as I kill people
I'm just a goofy
indiscriminately.
guy.
No, I'm just a bit of a goof.
Here's a fish that smiles. Isn't that fun?
Just goofing around. Isn't this funny? Murder 7 people. I agree. Like, this is. I'm on board. You might not have been on board with Caliban. I am on board with Jared Leto as a terrible Joker.
I mean, you could just put
What were they
Jared Leto in
thinking?
anything.
Yeah, just Jared Leto in a film.
Jared
What were they-
Leto, I liked Fight Club when he got the shit kicked out of him. I liked American Psycho where he got hit in the face with an axe. I mean, those are my favorite Jared Leto
Could
roles
we
right
just
there.
write a film where like Jared Leto gets hit with stuff and then just make
Jared
it like
Leto
2
gets
hours
hit by a
long?
car, Act 1.
And we just
in
keep
credits.
hitting him with stuff, and you're like, well, this is the best Jared Leto's ever been because it's just him getting hit with shit.
He'd be
Yeah.
method acting too, so we would actually have just killed him.
Well, and we could get away with it because we're like, oh, we did it for the art,
Yeah,
because
it's what he would have wanted.
Alec Baldwin got away with killing somebody, so we can do it.
Certainly did. Oh yeah, somebody put something in the wrong folder. Oh, I guess you're free to go. What?
Oops. Oh wow. What?
What?
You mean hitting the guy with a brick in the head it killed people? Nobody told me.
Oh boy. All right, mine. I will probably say in the controversial thing, but I've never been really impressed with her. I will say Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique.
Ooh.
And I feel like in First Class, I was okay with it, but then the movies that came after it, and they kept giving Mystique a bigger and bigger part because they were taking advantage of that Hunger Games bump.
Mhm.
I to be honest with you, and you could really tell she was just going through the motions in those later movies.
Oh,
in my
100%. Yeah,
She could not fucking care. Because I mean, at that point, she was also in like what Silver Linings Playbook and like more critically acclaimed roles. So it was just like didn't care. They made a bigger part for her because of her rising stardom, and I'm not faulting her necessarily so much for it. Just like she clearly signed a contract. I'm going to be in this many movies, and Fox was like, "Yes, you are."
Oh, 100%. Like that fourth one. Well, what was it? The Dark Phoenix. Yeah, like she couldn't get killed off quickly enough in that movie. She's
Right.
like,
She would agree.
yeah.
But it seems like the criticism here is the later films, which we can all agree, not great efforts for a lot of people. But like early on, she was a very good Mystique.
Well,
So is that bad casting?
I mean, it's a
bad use of that continued character.
Yeah.
It's a bad use. I mean, it's a bad use of that actress. Because we were talking about like as written. And I think the problem is as written, they were making her a bigger and bigger part, but she didn't want to be part of it anymore. So her effort was getting less and less.
But at the beginning, at the start of it, she was a good Mystique.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the difference.
So the casting of it, originally the casting of it was good.
Almost every other one that we've talked about, though, have been one movie. This is like one of the first, because aside from Nip Tuck as Dr. Doom, can't even remember his name, talked about it less than 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, but he stuck in both those films.
That's what I'm saying, though. But like, this is the first time that we have somebody who's been in 4 fucking movies playing this character, and it's just a decline.
Right, and I get that, but I mean, like, if we're going by the definition of bad casting, she's already been cast by the time, and she already put on some good films by the time she got bad.
She put in 1.
She was okay in the first 2 films she was in.
I thought she was better in the second one than she was in the first.
I didn't say that. I said 1. I didn't say which one.
You.
Days of Future Past is a more traditionally Mystique role than the other ones were. I was never crazy about the idea that Xavier knew her his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mom, Dad, this weird blue girl just showed up in our kitchen. We're going to be best friends forever.
But again, that's the writing, not her.
That's the writing. Not holding it against her, especially because she didn't play the kid version unless there's like, what is that movie that Ethan Hawke was in that was shot in real time? Boy or whatever?
Boyhood, I think.
Boyhood.
Yeah. Well, what if she did play
this movie 20 years ago?
What if, like, whenever she was a kid, some weird guy with a camera was like, just get naked and just put this blue paint on you. I'm gonna film you, and it'll all make sense in 20 years. And she was like, okay.
And then he went to jail.
And then when he got out, he made the best X-Men.
Yeah, after serving a sentence. Yeah, no, like I said, maybe controversial, but like I said, I view the whole thing as the decline. I mean, as written, they were giving her a bigger and bigger role, and she wasn't into it anymore at the end.
Okay. I mean, well, what do you think, Joe? I mean, my case. Corey's been his case. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sort of in your camp as well. Like, I think she was all right in the first one, but I'm not a huge fan of the way the character was written. Second movie, I thought she was really good, but then I can agree with Corey and say, like, yeah, the decline after that was pretty obvious. She really wanted out by the time that fourth movie came around.
But that's because it takes you 3 hours to put that blue shit on.
Yeah, but they even
4 films
half-assed the
in.
makeup though in the fourth one. Like they
Right,
just
because
couldn't be bothered.
she was still probably like, I just can't be arsed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Can I just not be in blue face paint? Can I just be, because there was a lot of, she was kind of getting that equivalent of how Robert Downey Jr. can't keep the fucking Iron Man helmet on, in the sense that there were a lot of scenes of Mystique where she's just Jennifer Lawrence.
Yes. And understandable. The difference is Robert Downey Jr. got paid dickloads of money. The least he could do is put a fucking helmet on. He's about to get paid a dickload of money to put a helmet on. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's walking around with his fucking face out, put the helmet on. I mean, we don't know. We haven't seen it, but we'll see.
So, all right. So we're going to go back around. We're going with more positive ones. Dylan, you're up.
I'm going to throw a real curveball. And you guys see what you think about this. I'm going to go with Beast.
Nice.
I'm going to go with Kelsey Grammer as a Beast.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Because the mannerisms, the way he talks, the way he can kind of like, not the animalistic side of the Beast, but like the fun, intelligent, good-hearted man Beast character, perfectly played by Kelsey Grammer. I think that's absolutely great casting right there, right?
I'd agree. Yep.
I think just it's I don't want to say it's perfect, but you're like, if you're picking the Beast, you're like, that's hard to beat.
It's the reason why when the Beast showed up at the end of the Marvels, it was still Kelsey Grammer in the role, because he was basically born to play the Beast.
I remember reading fan castings in Wizard magazine back in the 90s, and even then it was Kelsey Grammer as Beast.
That's a really good shot, though. It really is. Like, physically he's not the Beast, but like character-wise, he is. You could totally buy everything. You could totally buy it, and that's the mark of a good casting thing. Like when you see a guy like that, you're like, I couldn't imagine anybody else playing that guy. And I think Kelsey Grammer is a Beast. Not to say Nicholas Hoult as young Beast wasn't good. He was very good. But I thought as like modern day Beast, Kelsey Grammer, hard to beat.
Yes.
There you go. Short and sweet again.
There you go. Yeah, it's the positive ones. We have nothing to say for the most part.
The positive ones are like correct,
Yes. John, your turn.
So I'm gonna go for Willem Dafoe, the Green Goblin.
Again, excellent choice.
I mean, Willem Dafoe is an amazing actor in his own right, but as the Green Goblin and as like Norman's descent into madness and like that switch he does as well between like the Goblin and Norman. Holy shit, it's so good. Like the scene where he's like speaking to himself in the mirror and like you get the like flashes of the two sides of his personality. It works so well. And then when he does lean into the Goblin side and he's just cackling and throwing one-liners and being as evil as possible, like, holy shit, this guy is a menace.
Yeah. What was
Yeah.
the Spider-Man? Was it No Way Home?
Yeah, he was in No Way Home. Yeah.
Whenever you watch that film, you're like, because a lot of the time he didn't wear the mask, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch him like play both sides, like be Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin, it's masterful. It
Yeah.
really is. I honestly, if it was any other actor, you would not buy it. I think, but like just the way you believe it. You're like, wow, fuck, he has split personalities, and one of them's a fucking killer. Like you believe it. And it's just a testament to how good he is as an actor. You know.
Well, he's a bit of a scientist himself.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I really liked Willem Dafoe as the Goblin. It was one of those things like I understand why they wanted to do a helmet or a mask, but he really didn't need one. The control he has over his face is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So is it my turn?
Looks
Yeah,
like
go for it.
All right, I'm keeping them paired up. I'm going to go with, again, from the X-Men world, I'm going to go with Michael Fassbender as Magneto.
Okay.
I think he captured the calmness of Magneto as well as the viciousness. I think one of the greatest scenes in a comic book movie of all time is Magneto in Argentina with the Nazis, and how he plays with them before he kills them. Fucking amazing. But yes, I would think that Fassbender as Magneto is amazing casting. If you're going to do a younger Magneto, I think you could definitely do worse. Plus, I just like Fassbender in general. He's like my favorite character in any of the Alien movies. I fucking love Frank. That's one of my favorite like movies of all time. So yeah, I there's a bias for me there on that one, I think.
Do you prefer him to Ian McKellen? Because I mean, Ian McKellen, like he brings
Very
a
good Magneto.
certain, yeah,
It's weird though, because like I associate Ian McKellen so much with Gandalf instead.
yeah.
I have a hard time remembering it's the same guy. But no, I think he's fine. I definitely think he's fine as Magneto. It is that weird thing of like having a character like Magneto in a movie so far removed from World War II, where it's like, oh, this is a modern day X-Men movie. He would be ancient, and that's fine. But like, I'm not going to hold his age against him in X-Men 1. I think that I didn't think he had the same kind of quiet rage to him that Fassbender had.
I think it
'Cause
works
to
though in
me,
X-Men 1
Yeah,
though, because
I
like the
think it would.
timeline, that movie came out in what, like 99, 2000?
Like I said, I'm not
Yeah.
holding the age against him on that.
But
It's
he
just more of
did
like I
look
said,
like obviously he didn't look like a 1-to-1 like
yeah.
but close enough where you're like, I'll believe it.
Yeah.
No. I'm saying it's more about like I said, just I think Fassbender had the temperament of Magneto better.
I think you're right in that, but I will also say that like McKellen had the maniacal kind of megalomaniac part down
Yes.
very well. Like if you're looking at young Magneto and old Magneto, McKellen had that real like I'm clearly jaded and I'm fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
And
Well, and that's again,
Magneto's
that's
one of those characters, but I'm a little annoyed that now they made him a face again. When I think he's better as a heel because like heel Magneto, it's like CM Punk. Boy, heel Magneto is fucking wonderful to watch. Just
Yeah.
whenever he's just pissed off, he's like, all right, I'm fed up now. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, it's kind of how I feel about Juggernaut, honestly. Like I hate seeing
Right.
Juggernaut as a member of the X-Men. It's like, nah, he's much more enjoyable as a villain.
Agreed. I don't understand why they made him into like a good guy or a baby. It doesn't make any sense why they did that.
Baby
With
Juggernaut?
Baby Juggernaut. You always gotta make Juggernaut an adult and then B a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the Juggernaut character doesn't work as a good guy. It's such a
No.
weird angle, and I don't. This is a whole podcast for another day, but I don't really like the rehabilitation of a lot of villains to make
Yes.
them good because you're like part of the draw of them as villains is they're really good villains.
Yes.
They don't have to have a redemption arc. You know?
Now, John, like, I do not know this for a fact, but based off of this conversation and based off of how the auction went, I would say Magneto's probably in your top 5 characters of all time. Is that correct?
I'd say he's very high up there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So, just not even counting Ian McKellen, what are your opinions of Fassbender as a young Magneto?
Like you say, that scene with the Nazis in South America in the first one was pretty damn good. Just like that out of a superhero movie, put that in any movie. That's gonna be top notch stuff. Um, but I don't know, like part of not my issue with him, but like I think he could have done better in that first movie. Certainly, was like his accent was just all over the place, and it really bugs me like every time I watch it because
Yes.
it sounds like sometimes he sounds Irish, which I think is like his natural accent,
Yep.
but then sometimes it's sort of sounds like he's trying to put on an Ian McKellen style voice, and sometimes it feels like he's trying to add in like a sort of Eastern European twinge as well. But like it's all over the place, and it kind of takes me out of it a little bit.
This is true because I remember watching this in the cinema with my friend. We watched First Class in the cinema, and there is a part in First Class where Fassbender sounds Irish, and all of us were like, "Oh my god," because we know what that sounds like, right? And we were
No,
like,
yeah, if anyone would know.
we were like, "Holy shit, that's like I know what that sounds like. Like what the where did that come from?" There's just like specifically one moment. I think it's like he's on the beach and like he does something where he says something like and it sounds so Irish. Like where did that come from? So I know exactly. I get that. Yeah,
I think he
that's a
improved the accent loads in Days of Future Past, and it sounded more like consistent with Ian McKellen's voice as well. You could sort of see the connective tissue between like the two. But yeah, it's just that first movie, especially where it's just wow, what is going on here?
well, that's good acting too. The way that he would try to like make that connection with like the future version of Magneto. Like that's smart.
Yeah, yeah, and that's just like a very small like sort of criticism of him as Magneto as well. Like for the
Yeah.
most part, I thought like he was really good in the role as well.
Yes, I agree. I thought he was very good.
Yeah.
All
I
right, we
mean,
got our last round of bad. Unless there's another point you want to make, though, Dylan, before we do.
well, I mean, the trick is because you have like the old and new Magneto, like it's actually hard to pick which one is better casting. Because I thought that like if you look at old and new Magneto and Xavier, both the old version and the new version are pretty fucking good casting.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, they're both very well, and the genius part of it is the two actors that play each set of Xavier and Magneto work wonderfully together. Have such good chemistry that it's like
Mm.
it's hard to say one's better than the other. You know, that's all I wanted to say.
That's fair. Well, you're up on your last round of castings that did not work for you.
All right, get ready for this one, guys. Topher Grace as Venom / Eddie Brock. I like. I'm just astounded that they did that, and it's nice that they took a chance and rolled the dice. And I like Topher Grace. No, that's not an issue there. But like, what's the first thing you think of when you think of Venom?
He's a big muscly guy.
He's a big
Yeah.
motherfucker, right?
Yeah, even Eddie Brock was that big before the symbiote costume.
That's why Venom is big, is because Eddie Brock was a big guy. Spider-Man, whenever he had the suit, was Spider-Man because he was Peter Parker. Eddie Brock was much bigger. So when the symbiote took him over as Venom, he became much, much bigger and imposing. That's part of it. And Topher Grace, God bless him, when he tried, he went to the gym, he put as much muscle on as he could. Not the right guy. Not the right guy to be Eddie Brock, like this tough guy who, loses his job and is downtrodden and doesn't know what to do and gets the symbiote and becomes this fucking unbelievable killing machine like Venom. None of that worked. And I feel like, and what's really funny is if we do like honorable mentions for later on, I thought the guy who played the Sandman in that film,
Thomas Hayden
what was
Church.
it? Yes, he was incredible.
Yeah,
That guy saved that film.
Well,
that
he didn't
guy-
save it, but he definitely.
Dude, if you watch that film, every scene he's in is perfect. He's so good at it. Whereas Topher Grace as Venom is just the opposite. He's just not the right guy for that. He just doesn't have the. He's just not the right guy. You know.
No.
I think we can all kind of agree on that.
The weird thing is, he's like basically written as like a sort of, like wise ass brat version of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
But then we kind of get that anyway in the movie when
With
Peter Parker turns heel.
Right. They already did that with Peter Parker.
Yeah. So
That's true.
But
that's why Eddie Brock, the character, works so well, is that he's not Peter Parker. He's a completely different character.
Exactly.
And that's why Venom is so vicious and horrible, and a different counterpart to Spider-Man, who is a very good-hearted person. All of that works based on that. And none of that came out in that film. And I just feel like Topher Grace was just not a good Venom. And he tried, God bless him, but he's just not, you know?
No. I think maybe he suffered a little bit as well from the fact that, Venom was absolutely shoehorned in by the studio against Sam Raimi's wishes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it was a character that Sam Raimi was particularly enthused to write or include in the movie, which is probably why Venom himself kind of got the short end of the stick in terms of like story and how rushed it all was.
Right. Right. I agree with that. But like, just if you ignore all of that and just go, we're making a film, we want somebody to play Venom. Who are you going to cast as Venom? And then you say Topher Grace, I'm going to fire you.
Yeah.
I know that we covered a lot of this in our Sony Spider-Man movies as well. So I'm not trying to cut you off or anything, but it is really funny how like I can tell how much this bothered you.
I mean, like that's I'm not even like a huge fan of Venom, but like anybody that follows Spider-Man is probably like, that's not right.
John, I think this is your last bad casting.
Are you gonna pick Topher Grace as Venom as well?
Well, I've got so many different choices I could make now. I have to.
Well, see at the end. Can we do? I have a couple of extra worst ones, so can we do like a couple of like honorable mentions?
Oh yeah. I actually have a lot of like best ones that I'm not going to be able to get to unless we do that. So
okay, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so which one should I go for? I'm gonna go for January Jones as Emma Frost, since we've been doing a bit of a X-Men theme.
Yeah, because this is what we do on this show is talk about not an X-Men podcast.
No,
I promise.
I talked
Allegedly.
about Venom. You talked about Dr. Doom. We're not on that X-Men podcast.
She was in First Class, and basically all she brought to the table was like dressing like a fembot from Austin Powers and
acting like a fembot from Austin Powers.
Yeah,
shit.
Exactly. Yeah, she looks so bored throughout and brought no charisma whatsoever to the role. And shockingly, she wasn't brought back for any of the sequels.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
It's perfect for Betty Draper, not so much for Emma Frost.
Exactly.
Right. That's a shame because I like Emma Frost a lot, but like her like being like a cold kind of person doesn't equate to just being bored as an actress. Like that's not the look you want to go for.
No, definitely not.
She didn't get the real Emma Frost experience over film wise, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough. I'm on board.
I would agree.
Yeah. All right. Corey?
So I found this is to be kind of controversial, but I don't understand why. I cannot for the life of me stand Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent from Man of Steel. I keep seeing people like talk about like, oh, you know, like it feels like very like traditional American family. It's like in that he was kind of cold. and
Mhm.
kind of emotionless as a father, I guess, in my case. So yeah, that might be pretty close, but good lord. But yeah, no, I this was another one of those things of like trying to separate the writing from the character, and I probably failed on this one because I mean I'm not going to talk about like you know willingly let himself get sucked up into a tornado like that. Yeah, that still bothered me.
He said sucked up by a tornado, not
Yep,
anything else.
Okay. Yeah,
yep.
sucked off by a tornado.
He got sucked off by a tornado. And maybe it's because I just don't care for Kevin Costner in general. I find him to be very conservative in that Hollywood conservative bullshit as well.
Mm.
But no, I felt like he didn't have any warmth to him. Because I mean, his death was supposed to be this big, impactful moment in Clark's life, and I just didn't feel that. I mean, if anything, like I understand it was like the character's like, oh, this is going to come from a good place of like we can't let anyone find out, that you're different or whatever. But like it almost like chastising Clark for saving people. Like you
Mm.
saved a school full of like a school bus full of your fellow like children and classmates. Like
What the
don't do
fuck?
that.
What are you doing? Let him die.
Yeah, it was just it did not it felt very counterintuitive to the goal of making us like feel Clark's loss because if anything it's just like we want Superman to rescue people and save people, but his dad's like, no, don't do that.
But also,
But
like in the comics, surely the whole point of like Clark Kent's father was that he is quite a nice, warm, like farmhand.
oh,
Like he's
incredibly,
not. That's because that's where he learns a lot of his good
his
traits from.
values.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is from his adopted parents. So like, surely you want to make those two people as sweet as possible.
Yeah.
To show the innocence and good nature of Clark Kent, aka Superman. Like, surely that's part of it, right?
Well, and again, that's like we're trying to separate the intention from the
Mm.
source material. Like the
Well,
writing in
yes,
the movie
but
is Zack Snyder, and he has historically shown he does not care about the continuity or the source material.
but
So
but
it's
also,
hard.
if you're trying to put that across, I don't think I would have picked Kevin Costner for that. Now,
Yeah.
if you're going, so I agree with you on that part. And then I also agree with you on the part that we're like, well, we're talking about Zack Snyder here, who couldn't give a fuck about anything. So you're like, okay, well then, do we look at it through a different lens? Because if we look at it by just purely the way Zack Snyder wrote the film, is it a good casting? Even then, I'm like, I don't know. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
questionable. I don't know, man. But it's hard to tell with Zack Snyder because he's just like, whatever. This is
Exactly.
it. Yeah, live with it. I'm like, I don't want to.
All right. Last round of people that we really like. Did you save your best for last, Dylan?
Uh, no. But I'm gonna say him anyway
I appreciate your honesty.
because I think the one I'm gonna do in the bonus round isn't well thought out. So I'm gonna go with this guy instead. Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin.
Oh,
Nice.
You know this guy?
good choice.
Yes.
So first of all, this guy's an incredible actor.
Mhm.
So if you've seen him in anything, he fucking rules because he's so different. Every single thing you see him in is different and it's unique, and you look at it and go, that's the right guy for that casting every time. But him as Kingpin, you're like, dude, I fucking buy that. You look at him as a Kingpin, you go, that's the fucking Kingpin, right?
Hell yeah.
Exactly. Like that. He's just like, that's what I think the Kingpin is. And like the guy, you remember the Daredevil film with the aforementioned Ben Affleck?
Yeah, we're gonna talk
Mhm.
about Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I really like that actor, but when I saw him as Kingpin, I'm like, I don't buy you as the Kingpin. You know what I mean? And he's good, and he's good in the film, but you're like, that's just not what I think the Kingpin is. But I
Wasn't
saw
fat
this
enough.
guy, and I'm like, that's what the Kingpin is. You know what I
Kingpin needs
mean?
to be fat.
He needs to be big, fucking bald, white, angry-looking dude, and that he fits the bill. So that's. I thought that was great casting, but not only was it great casting, but he like what he was given, he fulfilled the brief. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He did a really good job of that. So
All right,
that's my last good pick.
John, what do you got?
Okay, which one should
Jared
I go
Leto
for?
as
Morbius.
Morbius.
So I've sort of had a Spider-Man theme going on, so I guess I'll go for Alfred Molina as Doctor Octopus.
That's great. And you know what? That's not one of the obvious ones I picked. So you're lucky. But
Have we
I
not
agree.
triggered the obvious alarm?
we
None of the
haven't.
obvious ones I picked. I'll tell you the obvious ones at the end, but
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
I agree 100% with John's pick right here.
Because I mean, it's like the way it's written for one thing is like such a tragedy in like him sort of having these like grand goals for the good of man, and then it basically costing him the love of his life, and then turning him insane basically, and then having that sort of personal connection with Peter as well that they can play off and all of that. And yeah, I think Alfred Molina was just the perfect guy to kind of bring that all to life. And especially the way he sort of interacted with, yeah, like the tentacles as well. Like that was so well done, where he basically almost like had the voices in his head kind of thing.
Well, I remember there were like scenes where during like the fight sequences you could see where like he would get knocked out for a moment, but the tentacles were still fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'd just go limp, and then the tentacles would fight, and then he'd be back up.
Absolutely. And yeah, and it led to one of the best scenes in a superhero movie as well, when the doctors are trying to remove the tentacle limbs from his back, and then they just again have a life of their own and start taking care of business in classic Sam Raimi horror style,
Mhm.
which doesn't really have that much to do with Alfred Molina, but like that whole scene is just incredible.
Fair enough. We'll allow it.
Okay.
But you're right. Like he's such a good, such a good Dr. Octopus.
Mm.
You totally buy it. Like he is a major reason why Spider-Man 2 is such a good film.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
No, Alfred Molina was fantastic. There's a gentleness to him that comes out whenever he's not like in Doctor Octopus mode that I always found enjoyable. Like he felt like they did a really great job with having him sort of be a surrogate father figure for Peter for a little bit.
Yep.
So that you do feel that loss a little bit more than any other character up to that point.
Mm.
The clips that I've seen when Homecoming or whichever MCU Spider-Man movie it is that they're all in, his reaction to seeing Topher Grace, not Topher Grace, Tobey Maguire, and saying like, "Oh, Peter, you've grown up." It's just like it was very sweet,
Yes.
and like that's
He
a lot of diversity in his performance.
he was also very good in that film.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
very good. Because there is a bit where he's fighting Tom Holland, and he goes, "You're not Spider-Man."
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, he's like, "You're not. You're not Peter Parker. What are you doing?"
So my last one will be, I think, kind of one of the OGs, and that is Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Right.
For the simple reason that there have been a lot of actors who've played Superman over the years, Brandon Routh and Henry Cavill, but Christopher Reeves, to me, nailed the difficult part, which is playing Clark Kent. Like the gosh golly aspects of Clark Kent. And there's one scene in particular from the first Superman where he's as Clark about to go out on a date with Lois, and he's been like kind of struggling with whether or not to tell Lois he's actually Superman. And so he's in full Clark Kent mode, and he makes up his mind he's going to tell her. And he takes his glasses off and straightens his posture, and he basically feels like he just transforms an entirely different character just by body language. I just think he was amazing at it. And there's a reason I think that in every interview with a different actor who's played Superman over the years, it's unanimous that they all say Christopher Reeves is the best.
Yep.
Can't argue with that.
I agree with you. I thought it's been like a joke where like, oh, the only difference between Superman and Clark Kent is that he takes his glasses off. But like when you watch Christopher Reeve be both of those characters, like you can tell it kind of like we were talking about the Green Goblin earlier. It's the same deal where like he can do both of those characters just by acting, which is what you're supposed to do as an actor. But he does them both like so well. We're like, fuck, I can see why nobody could tell the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So that's a good call.
All right, do we have some time for honorable mentions? Or
I
Dylan,
hope
do you want to
so.
do your obvious list? Because that was such a big thing at the beginning of this.
Okay, so I had a couple on my obvious list. One but the first two are because we were talking about it recently. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman as Deadpool and Wolverine, respectively. Because if you think about like perfect casting, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine are like, when you see them now, you're like, nobody else can be those characters, right?
I would agree.
Incredible. I would say after that, a lot of the Jokers, except for the Heath Ledger one. So it's, Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger. A lot of people would have said those are the perfect Joker. Fair enough. He was on the list. And then Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Again, when you think of perfect casting, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is the perfect casting. It is. That's just the best you could do. And they did it. So I put him down on the obvious list. And because we're so fucking good at this, none of us picked any of the obvious answers.
I came so
I probably
close
would
to
have
saying.
been.
I
Are
came
there
really
any
close to
other
picking
ones you
Jack
think are
Nicholson.
super obvious that like should have been on that list?
Patrick Stewart as Professor X.
Right.
Yeah. That was another one I was tempted to pick, but I was like, that is really obvious.
Too obvious. It's going to be on the list.
Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury.
Yes.
Yeah. I worked really hard not to pick MCU characters. Like, that was a big thing I had going into this, because I feel like there have been so many other superhero movies that were not tied into Marvel.
Yes.
In that sense. But yeah, no, I think Chris Evans as Captain America, a lot of people like have a hard time now separating that character from it. And I think that's going to be the big challenge that Anthony Mackie has in this new Captain America movie, is going to be that comparison.
Yeah.
So they're taking a big swing on that one.
Yeah.
So any honorable mentions for worst casting?
Well, I have two for worst and one for best.
Okay.
I mean, all.
Yeah.
Go for it.
We'll just do all the honorable mentions in one go. So for best honorable mention, mine was Marlon Brando as Superman's dad.
Jor-El.
But only because I fucking love Marlon Brando. Right? Honestly, I don't know if he was fucking good at that or not. He was in there for like 20 minutes, not even. But I love Marlon Brando, so he's obviously the best. That's why I went with the Kingpin over. What I wrote down is Superman's dad. So I've always put a lot of thought into it.
I will tell you that the comparison was Kurt Russell as Jor-El in Man of Steel, and Kurt Russell's Jor-El was Man of Action Jor-El, and not.
I think it was. Wasn't it Russell Crowe, not Kurt Russell?
Oh, it was Russell Crowe. Man, I wish it was Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I fucking wish it was Kurt Russell. That was just wishful thinking on my part. But no, Russell Crowe, because he was like, there was it started with an action sequence of him like rushing through the collapse of Krypton to like and outrunning General Zod's men to get to his wife and launch Clark up in the rocket, It just felt weird and wrong. It didn't feel like the scientist, and Marlon Brando felt more like the scientist.
Because he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And also, they only had him for a week, so like, well, better make the best of it. If I know Marlon Brando at all, they only had him for a week.
They had him for a day. What are you talking about?
Yeah. That story checks out. There we go. And he probably got paid $2 million for it.
Yeah.
So on the worst list, I had. Now this one has an asterisk beside it because I haven't seen this film, but I wrote Bridget Nielsen as Red Sonja because I haven't seen that film. but I have seen Bridget Nielsen act, so I can pretty much, I pretty much guarantee it's not going to be good. Am I correct?
I have
Yeah.
seen that movie.
You've not seen? Oh boy. Do
No,
yourself-
I have.
Okay. Do
And?
yourself a favor and forget it.
I gave it 1.5 stars out of 5.
Okay, I feel like I'm pretty close on the money with that one.
Yeah, she was awful in it.
Correct. She's awful in every she seems lovely, but also not a great actress.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one I had was, and this is a personal thing. This is why I wasn't one of the main guys. Woody Harrelson is Carnage because, dude, he's like, it's just not Carnage, right? And God bless him. I love Woody Harrelson, great actor, not the right casting for that, right? I think we can agree, just not the right casting. So that's my list. Done.
John, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I've got a few left over. I mean, we sort of talked about Ian McKellen as Magneto. Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I think he very much made that his own, and
no one will ever play that character again, which is funny considering in his TV show multiple people played Loki.
Yeah. And like my other best one was Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
Yes.
Excellent.
Absolutely brilliant.
100%.
On the worst side, I've got a fair few. I've got Jared Leto as Morbius.
This is the things about this podcast. We love the X-Men. We hate Jared Leto.
Fucking hate Jared Leto.
Yeah. Fuck that guy. Taylor Kitsch as Gambit in Wolverine Origins.
Yep, fair enough.
Finn Jones as Iron Fist.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's.
Well, don't worry, you're not alone. That was like the worst of the Netflix series, from what I understand.
Then from Blade Trinity, Dominic Purcell as Dracula.
Oh, not Triple H?
No, Triple H was at least entertaining. Yeah,
That's true.
Got those cyber fangs.
Yeah, he had a dog.
Exactly. He had a little dog. He suplexed someone.
Do you think the dog is because of the pedigree?
Oh, I didn't make that connection.
Now there we go. In the podcast.
Last one, Vinnie Jones is the Juggernaut.
He's the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah.
I wish the helmet was better. It looks like a weird styrofoam hat.
The whole costume looks awful.
I agree, but also I feel like Vinnie Jones, like, as casting the Juggernaut, not crazy. He's a big guy.
Not the worst thing you could do. Not the worst thing you could do.
I mean, a lot of the other ones I totally agree with you on. Vinnie Jones, I'm like, I mean, as a big bruiser, that's what he does. That's his gimmick. Fair enough, right?
What if it was a baby Vinnie Jones?
Exactly. Just a small child headbutting people. Which, if you've ever held a toddler, that will happen. You will get headbutt by a child.
Well, that's happened to me before, 100%.
My honorable mention, I didn't have a ton of worst because, like I said, once I put in that rule of like, I can't do it based off of that it was different from the source material. Because if I did include that, I would have absolutely. I didn't care for Alan Cummings' Nightcrawler, but that absolutely had nothing to do with his performance. It was just at the writing. Right. I don't care for tortured Catholic Nightcrawler. I think that's the most boring depiction you can do. Yeah, I mean, that was really the only really. I didn't care for Will Smith as Deadshot.
Okay.
But again, I can't really tell you why. I think it's just because it's like Will Smith. You just see Will Smith and you see Will Smith. It's like the Rock. It's like you see the Rock. It doesn't matter what part he's playing. He's playing the Rock. So when Will Smith is in something, he's just playing Will Smith. For best, I had a lot of weird oddball ones. Like I almost went with. I loved Richard E. Grant as the alternate Loki because I feel like there was like an old school like 1960s Marvel energy to that depiction of Loki.
Mm-hmm.
I like Josh Brolin as Cable. I think we talked about that previously.
Yep, good call.
I also really liked Michael Shannon as Zod. I just wish it was a better movie. But I just like Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon's another one of those, like, I probably just liked it because I like Michael Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, no, I feel like we avoided the obvious ones. No one said Jeep Swinson as Bane. That was another one of those, like, that's not Bane, but it also wasn't written to be Bane. It was just like muscle-bound goon, and it was the 90s when Bane was prominent.
We see, I was thinking about that too, but then I'm like, the problem with that is that guy just played Bane as a big muscle guy, which is kind of what Bane is. So like,
Exactly. That's why I didn't include him. I was like, I can't fault Jeep Swinson for that one.
Wasn't his fault.
Wasn't his fault.
Writing. Yeah, he did what he's supposed to do pretty well.
Yeah, and like Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, kind of the same deal. You know?
I didn't like the writing, but he did it really well.
Yeah. He was committed to it. Not committed enough to shave his head, though. I remember reading that he was very adamant about not shaving his head.
Well, kind of everything, but he still went for it.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of enthusiasm in that portrayal. You can see it.
Yes, he loved it.
All right, folks. Well, that was our best and worst castings for superhero movies. A bit of a longer one. The list ones always go long a little bit, but that's not a huge problem. I think we had some fun conversations in it. If you agree or disagree, or you feel like we missed something obvious, by all means, leave a comment. John, before we plug the letterbox, where are you sitting at right now?
495.
495.
Yep.
So you'll break 500 probably by the next time we record.
Almost certainly, yes.
There you go. John, if you want to see John's letterbox reviews, if you want to see what he thinks of some of these actors' portrayals, John, where can they find you?
They can find me at Big John Bowski, all one word.
Where?
Oh, on Letterboxd.
There we go.
Wherever you want.
Yeah, just plug it in, pick a rant, put it in Grubhub, see where it turns out. You'll find that there's a restaurant in your neighborhood called Big John Bowski.
And it's
delicious. Maybe they have a good quesadilla. Dylan, what's going on in the world of Explodey Plays?
I played more Pikmin, and true to form, it was a fucking train wreck. So I'm slowly gathering up a big collection of terrible Pikmin episodes that I want to release to people all in one go. So like I said, my goal is to release them in September. So if you're listening to this in September, which I think you might be, check Explodey Plays on YouTube. You will be able to see all sorts of fun playthroughs of Pikmin where I am just the absolute worst. It literally couldn't have gone any worse. And I think that's a fun thing to watch. It's no fun if somebody's good at the game, but if somebody's dog shit, that's fun to watch. And if that's the parameters you're after, you're going to like my Pikmin playthrough, let me tell you. So there you go. Explodey Plays on YouTube. Follow that.
There you go. And of course, you can find my other podcast, which is Stream of Consciousness show, called Large Old Cup, also on Spotify, which, hey, if you're listening to this on Spotify, check us out on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we have a Spotify, so check that out too. Aside from that, I think we're ready to say goodbye.
That's it. This is a good one. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
Goodbye. I was waiting for John.
Okay, that's it. All right, bye.
I was waiting for John's little goodbye. There it is.